important people.
Yeah. That's
Oh, I'm so glad I'm right by this.
Oh, we all have.
It'll change. No,
Oh,
no,
it'll
change.
Oh, it does,
Yeah,
okay.
as long as you be still and don't say anything.
Okay.
Good.
It'll bounce all around.
Yeah, that's a trick to be a silent partner in all this, so.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, it was gonna be me on the whole thing. No.
All right, well, I'm chair, so I'll speak first. Welcome to a now regularly scheduled meeting of the Bangor Tree Board. I'm Greg Edwards, I'm the chair. On the table, we've got Aaron Hootery, Director of Public Works, Ben Abin, Aruda, our Director of Forest. What's your title? Sorry.
Forestry man.
Forestry manager. We've got 3 out of 4 board committee members, myself, Dominic Rizzo, David Ludwig, and then we've got Jeff Davis from engineering, who's in landscape architect, and then Tracy Willett from Parks and Rec.
Yep.
I'm just doing that to see if my brain,
And our guest tonight is Carly Fredericks.
yes.
Resident of Bangor and has forestry cred.
Yeah.
Oh, business card right there.
First order of business is approving all of the past meeting minutes. I guess we didn't approve, we must not have approved.
No, I think we were waiting for Annette to get here and then once you got here. we got it.
Okay.
So,
Annette has been away for 2 weeks on business and was still traveling yesterday back to Maine from Arizona via U-Haul, so she's probably not gonna attend. So I would accept has everyone read the minutes? I would accept a motion to approve the minutes.
To approve the minutes.
The second.
I am under the impression that if I was not part of the board, I can't,
you're on the board, aren't you?
right, but I thought if you weren't
You
at
can
that
still-
meeting.
You can still approve minutes.
I approve, second.
All in favor? All right, unanimously voting. You could recuse yourself, but I don't think there's a rule that says you can't. Number 2 is any changes to the agenda. I don't have anything. Other than talking about the grant, but that's probably on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, project.
We had a couple things for other items, but no changes to the agenda.
Okay. Number 3, board membership changes. There haven't been any since,
Well, that last one was just a workshop, so I didn't know.
oh, okay. Right, welcome to your first, Dominic and David to your first official meetings.
Very happy to have you both.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Winter storm tree damage review. How do you do?
So the December 18th, 19th. Yeah, somewhere around there, December 18th. That started out very slow. I remember getting an interview request early in the day and I said, nothing is going on. There's nothing really to interview about. And about 2 hours later, everything broke loose and Ben's crew, along with every other person that worked at Public Works, was out responding to trees down across roads. So I thought it would be good for Ben to give an update on kind of an overview on what we ended up doing.
So that saw, I think all of Public Works working until 11 PM that night, and then we had a crew stay over a full 24 hours the following day doing cleanups. I've quantified the sites that my staff have responded to. There's clearly more that have fallen, but for total tree failures, I quantified public and private. We were quite, I wouldn't say lucky, but a majority of the trees that did fail were private trees that fell onto public right of ways or public properties. Trees within the parks as well. I was unable to quantify those because Parks and Rec was able to handle most of that cleanup. For public trees, we had 36 total failures. So that includes uprooting or trees just completely breaking. Total private trees, we had 43 complete failures. And then, we had two, shared trees that failed completely.
So that was kind of, these are trees that fell and blocked roadways. A lot of that initial reaction was cut it up enough just to get it up, pushed off the road with loaders. Then we went back and tried to do the cleanup. And while we were doing that, residents are also doing their cleanups and bringing that product up to the road. So it was kind of that, and this is the way FEMA does it too. You've got that class, I think class B damage, which is just like immediate storm, just quick response. And then the class A is where you're doing all the cleanup, the long tail. So that was quite a storm. Fortunately, the following two storms resulted in next to nothing. Yeah, it was very, we were very fortunate, even though they had some high winds and the winds were blowing from that same direction. We just didn't see the tree damage, so.
The ground is a little colder, frozen.
Yeah, a little bit more. It still was quite warm at that point. We couldn't get off the road without sinking in, so.
Do you have a sense of what species of trees were hard hit again?
The hardest hit were Norway maples. And then following that, white pines, and then spruce.
Yeah.
So that falls in, they don't lose their foliage.
Right,
So
so
they're
they're
completely
just big
full
mass.
when you get 2 inches of rain and then 70-mile-an-hour gusts with no frozen ground. That's a recipe for trees just blowing over and blocking them.
I've heard the Norway maples get really gnarly once they get to a certain size, and a lot of ours are that age where they're gonna be not great, strong trees.
Yeah.
Okay. I also, how many people can we, like, what is all of Public Works involved? Like, is that like 20 people? Like,
No, we had, in the range of 50-ish people.
so we could like put out 50 people for a storm, but then like regular maintenance is like you and 4 or 5 other, 3 or 4?
Two or
Myself,
three?
too.
2 or 3. Yeah. Yeah, it sort of makes the argument that like you have these big storms and we haven't been able to do the maintenance to make these keep these trees, you know, ready for storms. So suddenly you have to not order them. Yeah, send out tons and tons of people and there's the damage is becoming costlier. Whereas if we had, you know, a crew of a dozen like we had in the 90s, we still got hit with the ice storm of 98, but we had the people to go out and do a lot of preventative maintenance that hasn't been done for now over 20 years, 26 years.
Well, a storm of that size, it's hard to tell. It may have been, you know, a bit smaller, but just the change in direction of the winds and
Right.
the wet ground that really, even with good maintenance, I think we would have been hit pretty hard.
Yeah, certainly the spruces and the pines, I don't think there's anything you can do anything about.
And the data Roland Perry kept track of the storm of 97, we lost over 470 trees during that storm. And that was in the course of, from when it happened, I believe the removals finally were complete in August of that year, all the damaged trees, so.
Any thoughts?
Do you feel like the storm damage wasn't as bad the second and third time because all the trees that were going to fail did fail the first time for that particular wind speed and direction?
I was expecting additional damage because we knew trees were weakened. You know what I mean? Really stressed to the point where, okay, the next one's gonna take them out, and it just didn't. I think we all were forecasting that. You know, it just didn't happen. So.
Well, I guess I'm thankful, even though at the time I wasn't, all the trees that the city took down in my neighborhood. I mean, there were a lot of trees you took down within the past 5 or so years.
Yeah.
So we still lost a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it could have been
Could have been worse. Yeah.
worse.
I was thinking of your neighbor when we were doing all that cleanup and the explanation I was giving about how this proactive removal
Right.
can prevent someone from getting injured. So, yeah, no, I thought of that.
Thank you.
Okay. Spring tree planting.
You jumped over resident tree removal
Oh,
requests,
sorry.
but it was appropriate because we have no requests.
Okay, great. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Spring tree planting, do you have a list by any chance?
I got a list I can go around to everybody.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the list of things we are gonna order, not locally.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're ordering 50 non-local, and then are there local?
We're going, our plan is to also locally source some trees, so it'll be, the total plantings this year should be over 50.
Okay.
I would guess, and it's all depending on labor, because we are short-staffed still, again. But we should be in the range between 75 and 100 total plantings, ideally. We did have one employee, I don't know, we don't have this. So we did have one employee apply for the arborist position, so he is now studying for, his certifications. So that's a good thing, and we have had some people apply for the other arborist position, but once again, it's the plow driving. That is holding people back. Yeah, is that the only thing? Really, just getting that CDL and driving plow?
I think so.
Yeah.
Give it another year, we won't have any snow, and then we'll really have to just make the switch. It's already halfway there.
Switch to what? To know, won't have to have them plowing.
Oh, I thought you meant just shoveling.
Oh.
No. I was like, wow, I guess they really do make their people.
So we're 75 to 100. Do we have a sense of how many we took down or lost in all of 2023?
It's right around that 75 mark, no more, I don't believe.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember whether it was 74, 76. It wasn't right at 75, but it's right around it.
And that's including storm damage from the most recent.
No.
So it's
No, that would have been
76
our
plus,
active removals, yeah.
okay, plus another 36, so over 100.
Yeah.
So if we plant ideally 100, and then, you know, if we're able to do more of the Bangor Beautiful donations, maybe we can get up to replacement level, which is, ideally we'll get beyond that, but that's a really good start.
Yeah.
This doesn't include, you know, some of the stuff I'm working on too. So I don't have any data on that one right now, but
Like down at Merchants Plaza Park, you mean, or other
yeah,
things too?
and then some other things, there's some street stuff happening on Exchange and
Nice.
the North State that we've been talking about for a couple of years.
Good. So we ought to make sure that you guys are communicating so that he can keep a master list of
Yep.
plantings. That would be good. Cool.
Thoughts?
Are there gonna be any, like public or volunteer-based tree planting? Is this all gonna be done by Public Works? How does that break down?
So this would all be done by Public Works. The Bangor Beautiful is up next. That would be the volunteer aspect. And we're gonna propose I've got a spring spot picked out, and I've been very aggressive with where I tried to squeeze in trees, so we can cut back if we need to. But the money was not the issue last time, and I think we can raise more volunteers. So hopefully we can plant more than 6 trees this time.
Yep.
Anything else on spring tree planting in terms of? It looks like it's a very diverse mix, which is nice, and a lot of understory, fun like flowering things.
Are they pretty much spread around town?
Yep, the whole city. Between resident requests and then prior removals. And then larger projects, so.
And, sorry, everywhere we can put a canopy tree, we're putting a canopy trees?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. The biggest tree we can fit without impacting utilities is what I'm specifying. So
Yeah.
if it can fit a maple or an oak tree, we're going with those. Most of these understory trees are right directly below, fiber optic lines that are 12 feet.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and they've, at this point, started adding, there's utility poles on both sides of the street
Yes.
now. All right, moving on to the Bangor Beautiful donation. I finished this, I've been working on this map for a while, but I didn't actually work on it again until very recently. Sorry.
Sorry.
Pass one back. Um,
I just want to make sure you had enough.
So, Bangor Beautiful is doing some murals down the road, so we wanted to like concentrate again in one area, and this intersection is really blighted in terms of, the amount of asphalt and, it's just a lot of pavement and really ugly, so I was trying to squeeze in as many understory trees in the public right of way as possible. The two coming up Hammond Street on the right are four, we'd want to get like sign off from those two houses because they're basically in their front yards, even though they're public right of way.
Yeah, their
Um,
doorstep is like right there, so.
Yeah, it will make them look really pretty,
Yeah.
and the city will take care of them, so that's a bonus. And the only place I could squeeze three full story were, near High Street. There's no electricity overhead. And so I think you could fit three canopy trees there. The
Did
rest,
you look at underground utilities?
I looked at a few spots. I haven't looked at all of them. So if underground utilities are in the way, we'll just have to cut them. But I looked at the.
Not cut the
Cut the utilities,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, no big deal, I guess.
We'll take down the utility lines, we'll rip up the sewer. There is one really close to the intersection that's close to, it's like 5 feet away from a control box for the intersection, so depending on.
Yeah.
Whether,
We'll look at them.
yeah, we can look at all of them. There are 3 potential spots right in front of the old letters. It's now something else. It's was part of this like thing that the city used to do where right in front of businesses, they just pave the Esplanade because their assumption was people would park in front and then walk through, but nobody parks there. It's really ugly, makes the whole area terrible.
Yeah,
What is that? Is that the Esplanade or is that the sidewalk?
That's it's both. It's like a 15-foot sidewalk because it's the Esplanade and the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
isn't it still Ledbetter's?
It's something else.
Yeah, they
Oh, it
still-
is?
it's the
I thought it was
store
still-
though.
Prices,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
prices, yeah.
So that's something if Public Works was something wanted to consider, ideally, it would make the city better if we could identify areas to cut out asphalt. And I know I pushed on State Street and we got a little more asphalt taken out when they repaved it recently. But, if we were more
Mhm.
aggressive about removing asphalt, you'd save, money on repaving. You get all the benefits of green space, and in this area, you could fit 3 full-size trees.
I see them complaining about losing parking though. I guarantee you they're gonna push back.
Possibly, Annette was gonna reach out and see if they were, interested in the idea, cause, I think they're trying to revamp the store to make it look a little nicer, cause it is got a reputation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I thought it was still Ledbetter.
Yeah,
So
so,
you're talking about taking like the curb that's at the edge of the sidewalk, pushing it back and creating a green space, a green esplanade in there.
right,
Yeah.
taking the asphalt from the curb, you could still leave an 8-foot sidewalk,
Yeah.
but take out, 4 or 5 feet of asphalt.
And I don't know that it needs to be 8-foot sidewalk if we had it comparable with, the rest.
Right, it's narrower further up where there is asphalt.
Oh, yeah, looking at this backwards. So you're talking about putting here, okay. So you wouldn't be taking away necessarily, you'd just be bringing that down to 5 feet, which is normal, and adding in an esplanade.
Right,
Had it backwards. I got you.
yeah.
Picking up what you're putting down.
So, It's the type of thing that also, you know, it could be fun for volunteers to, like, if somebody did the wet saw beforehand.
Yeah.
For volunteers to get out there and like pull up some asphalt, because it's really satisfying.
Gotcha,
Right.
gotcha, symbolic.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it would double the amount of canopy trees we could fit right in this intersection.
So I will work on these
Okay.
and get your feedback.
Yeah, I'll send you this map. I didn't pick any species because I figured we can go based on what the city's planting elsewhere, but also what Sprague's has available.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so you had said that it would probably, be people that want to donate, it would probably be good to funnel them through Bangor Beautiful.
yes.
We did get one request for a donation. And, where was that gonna go, Tracy? Was it Cemetery Park?
Cemetery Park, corner of, Buck Street and West Broadway.
Okay, so,
So I will get that information to you and,
yeah, because they can give us the money, we add it to the stuff we submit to government ops. It all gets
yes,
approved
it all
at
goes
once.
on one approval. Yeah, that was my big thing. I can do separate, but it's
Yeah.
just easier.
And then when we buy it, we could just drop it off at Public Works or Parks and Rec, and whoever's gonna
Yeah.
plant it, plants it.
However it fits in.
I like that. Do we? I suppose we could vote and approve this unless people do you have thoughts?
I was just gonna ask, first of all, is this something that we should try and attend if we can, if it's like a volunteer event?
I would recommend it.
I think that would be an awesome idea.
Sounds good, yeah, let us know when it is.
Dominic's on the Bees and Trees Committee, so.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Yeah, the last one that we did up on Center Street, Park Street, that was, I mean, it was just 6 or 8 of us, but it was still really nice and
Yeah.
got some good press too. I think we talked about the fact that everything on Facebook gets negative comments and I'm pretty
This
positive.
did not.
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah,
was gonna say this might be a good social media opportunity
Yeah.
to kind of let people know what we're doing and that we're not just cutting down trees.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Good, so, yeah, I don't know if you need to vote on just the concept, I've really gotta look into the infrastructure and make sure that we're
Yep.
not running into any issues there, but. I guess that would, I don't think we need to approve it as a board. I guess if we have a general agreement, then. Yeah. Thumbs up. Sure. Cool.
All right.
all right, tree inventory plan, so we're at the workshop, we think combining this, like, it needs to be combined with.
Well, yeah, I think that it only makes sense to have an inventory before we put an RFP out.
Right,
Or even to create a plan, you need to know what you're, making a plan for. So I think the inventory, it's smart to come first. This agenda point was really for me to let the board know what's going on with that. So Ben and I went over and interviewed a couple master's students and 5 undergraduate students. And we have 4 people lined up for internships for the summer. They'll be working on the tree inventory and on the city forest, the forestry management plan, creating a harvest plan that complies with that management plan, creating like storyboards that we can put up out there to inform people what's going on. Probably won't get to the actual harvesting till afterwards, but they'll be doing all that groundwork, going out and doing, what's that called, when the inventory in the forest?
A tree tour. Timber cruise.
Timber cruise, yeah, timber cruise. So they'll be doing some timber cruising and kind of putting all that together.
So
while
they'll be inventorying the natural stands as well as the street trees?
So there's a crew working on inventory all summer.
Mhm.
And at times there will probably be 2, and it's street trees and park trees, right? We agreed, yeah. So street tree, park tree inventory, but at the same time working on this harvest plan that complies with our already established forestry management plan.
Would they need to timber cruise?
I don't know.
That part
I
of
don't know
the, that part of the forest? Okay.
Do they need to? Because I think the inventory we have in there is pretty.
Yep.
Just a spot.
There's an existing inventory, but I would like to have a more intense area within that harvest area. So, you know, we're gonna do a timber harvest, do removals, and then be able to forecast that out, what that's gonna look like.
Right.
And that's gonna be on one of those storyboards. So
Gotcha.
it's gonna be like an educational harvest.
Right, no, I just didn't know if your students had to go inventory the city forest again, is what I was
Yep,
wondering.
just the smaller area that we're
Cool.
planning on.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
the forestry management plan identifies a specific area, so it's just focused on that.
Gotcha, well, it's good that they're gonna be focusing on city trees too now.
Yeah, no, we're really excited about that. So that inventory will obviously inform the urban forestry plan. But at the same time, it is going to be the information needed for the two graduate students. They're both working on. I want to say one's working on a park plan for managing Emerald Ash Borer, and the other one's working on more of a street tree plan for managing Emerald Ash Borer.
Okay.
So very excited that two students are both working on their master thesis plan for the city.
Yeah.
And what's Allison? The director, I don't, she works over in Old Town at the Maine Forest Service. And she sent me a notification that a verified infestation was found at her just a month ago. So spoke with Kenny today, the forester for this area, and he's actually the one that went out and investigated. So, yeah, it's very timely that we have this. I mean, ash trees in Tracy's parks have a lot more value probably than even just a basic street tree because of the recreation that takes place there. So there's no way to inject every ash tree in the city. So you kind of have to have a treatment plan for the ones that are important and a harvest plan for the ones that aren't, because if you don't do anything, they're gonna die. And unfortunately, that usually takes place behind the scenes. You don't realize it until there's a tree coming down, because it's been weakened so much and now it's a public hazard. So, that's the way we're kind of looking and approaching it, but, yeah. Tree inventory.
I have a related but semi-unrelated question, that Jefferson might know the answer to. The retaining wall work that's gonna be done on the Kenduskeag Extreme Trail, the part with the Victory statue, those are all ash. And they're right up next to the wall. I was wondering if those are gonna survive that work.
I don't know yet. It's too early to tell.
Okay.
We have a structural engineer on board. And we just had our first meeting today, but they have to get into their review and design before I know how far back. I mean, the best case is it's that right now it's pretty much dry stacked with some more in it, but hopefully we can just pluck it out, fix the base, put it back. That's the least damage. If we have to do something, I don't know the answer right now.
Okay. That's like the picturesque, or it's one of the areas where I'm imagining like it really would benefit that park to save those trees.
So that would be an important tree.
Right.
So
Like-
not only trying to save it during the project, but also planning for injection.
Yeah.
So that,
We're
Maybe we
really
don't need to
hoping
inject
it's
it
just-
if they're gonna, we have to get torn
yeah,
down.
exactly.
we hope that if they just have to pluck the blocks off, we can do it on, low flow times in the stream and not impact that mall. But we won't know until we get into it.
Then, of course, a lot of this, the tree inventory, we've already committed. I mean, we have money in our payroll budgets. Tracy and I are splitting the costs. That's gonna happen, but for like injection plans in parks, that's Tracy's, you know what I mean? He's gonna come up with the money for it. So it's not just a given, oh, everything that we find is important has gotta be injected. It's a matter of, I mean, he's already doing a trial injection and he's going on year 2 on Ground to Mott. So every one of these is just another brick.
We can code it however we need to make it happen. No, we'll figure it out.
You said you're splitting is that just ash? Just inventorying ash?
No, we're splitting the cost for the 4 students.
Oh,
also.
okay.
Yeah.
Right, but they're not gonna complete the inventory. It's too much. for
No,
you.
I think we are going to figure out how to get this done this year.
Okay,
I have high hopes that this inventory, the entire city will be inventoried.
okay.
Yeah.
Cause our thought at the workshop was, depending on how much we have, build that into the RFP, you know.
Yeah.
If you need
The
to, if you
additional,
need to
yeah.
do any more, do it and give us a quote on that
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I would like to, we played with some numbers. I think we can make this happen.
Okay.
Cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Aaron, while we're doing this, inventory management plan, have you guys considered looking into, the possibility of urban wood utilization at all, either for, specialty projects or donation to wood banks or anything of that nature? Might be a good time to look at something like that.
Yeah, I think ideally, we want an urban forestry management plan that really encompasses everything from seed to, the dead product. And somebody reached out to me recently. It wasn't through you, was it, Tracy? For some reason, I think it was connected to you, but yeah, talking about utilization of it was about ash. So we're talking about a proactive harvest plan for the ash so that we didn't end up with dangerous trees. And said that the value to Native Americans is high for ash. I'm not familiar with it. There's a value there, but yeah. I think that would be smart, wouldn't it? To make that part of.
Yes, yeah, it's one of the bullet points in the draft RFP I was working on at the workshop. It's something we pulled from Glendale, the New York one that come up with a way to use the wood to generate some money, but also put it to use. Because I've heard of Blue Hill has a wood bank and a lot of places donate to it.
Yeah.
It might be something.
Yeah, there's that too. We could let Tracy manage that wood bank.
Fantastic.
You just
I
put
think that-
free wood on
I
the side of the road to be gone.
I think that's a public health thing. I think that should go into the public health department.
Oh, there you go.
We can just-
The new public health. director.
Yeah, great
Just
idea.
leave big cords of wood out there and they can manage and fix it.
Donate it to the Humane Woodsman team, they'll chop it into firewood and sell it to people.
And have stacking competition.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll start a new summer game,
Yeah,
the Summer Lumber Olympics. I don't know. Sorry, anyways.
Bangor Summer Olympics, Wood Olympics.
Okay, brown tail moth, winter web clipping.
So we we have a reduced crew, but Ben has been getting extra people. He's still working on the storm cleanup some. I know yesterday all day was spent in park, so trying to help with that. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, Tracy came last because it was off the roads already, you know what I mean? It wasn't that big a thing, and so now we're getting to that, but in between each of these projects, Ben's crew is now proactively pruning, and while they're pruning, they're also doing the winter web clipping. Most of that is from the ground. Right now, we have nobody certified in the bucket. We did the classroom training for bucket certification, but the truck broke down. And the first time we scheduled it, the truck wouldn't start.
Correct.
Yeah, so we tried twice but we also have a new bucket coming, a new bucket truck coming, so it should be anytime be put into use,
Is there no overlap between the electrical bucket and the tree bucket? Are those totally different trucks?
No, there could potentially be overlap, but, we're down 2 electricians. Our third electrician is out, for 8 weeks for health problem, and then, we're just trying to get by electrically, so even though they're certified in it, they don't have the time to help us right now.
Okay.
Oh, getting him certified, yeah, that's a different level of certification. If they got certified in the electric truck, it wouldn't be.
You did that and this when you're done, the red line.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. Appreciate the help. You too. So, but we're getting there. We'll get the new truck in, we'll get people certified. We're in decent shape. We have a Class A driver, so he can drive the Class B truck plus the trailer chipper. So we are making progress on winter web clipping, mostly roadside, mostly the lower trees. But last year we spent thousands of dollars on man lifts and didn't get the high trees anyways. We just couldn't reach the stuff. We when I say we, Cody that just walked out, put together a video for us. Ben did a demonstration. I don't know if everybody saw that or not, but yeah, so we put that out. We have a educational event at Eastern Maine Community College on the 20th to talk about brown-tailed moth, how residents can try to mitigate the effects of their hairs. And that will also launch our pole pruner loan program. So we bought 5 pole pruners. They're good rugged pole pruners. We're hoping that they can withstand the use by the average resident. And that will allow people to get into their own yards, especially with brown-tailed moth. You're not going to eradicate them. So what you're really looking to do is create a better environment where you recreate or, live. So people being able to rent these, go out and trim those in their own yards, hopefully will make a difference this year. So, yeah, a little bit of proactive pruning, proactive web clipping, and then some public education. I just came from Orono at 3:00. They had a public event over there. And I just wanted to spy and see how they conducted theirs, just to get some ideas on ours. So, yeah, it was good. And they had a turnout, of course, beautiful weather, but I think they had 13, 14 people there. Good turnout.
Did you guys apply for any brown-tail moth mitigation funds last year?
The fund was so small. I talked with Maine Forest Service and it was like, we have towns that don't have a forestry budget, that don't have forestry people, they don't have anything, and that they were really trying to funnel the money towards those towns that didn't have any resources at all, whereas we have a proactive plan and we're actually trying to address it, and had money already available. And it was only, what, 150,000? It was small money to cover the whole state, so they have hopes that it will expand, but not seeing that.
Okay.
If when you're picking places to when you have the option to add places to prune, if we could do major arterials, places that people are regularly walking on, that will have one of the biggest effects. Cause I bike State Street every day and every single crabapple is now infested, and there's 5 50+ foot oaks that I'm sure are infested now too. I can't get those, but the people are walking directly under the crab apples as well. So if we could
We need
do the
less,
arterials.
fewer sidewalks, maybe that seems.
Yeah. We just drove everywhere. You wouldn't even notice brown-tailed.
That's right.
Just get rid of the streets too.
Yeah.
Let's just never leave our homes.
I think honestly, these arterials are jammed with them because they do hitchhike on cars.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where if we can stop them there, they're gonna not spread as much down the side streets.
Right.
Okay, urban forestry plan update. So we had our workshop. I put together a draft and we had some comments on it. I was gonna put it into the city of Bangor's template for RFPs. Did not do that because December was December.
And there's a new template just recently, so.
Okay. Also, we got hung up on the fact that there's no money to do this, so we can't put it on an RFP until it's funded. But we could still put it together an RFP.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea.
And so that ties into the Project Canopy grant, which because of the Inflation Reduction Act, there's about $1 million going out to the state of Maine to do urban forestry stuff. And so those grants are now up to 200,000. I can't imagine we would get 200,000, but
we don't need 200,000 to put together a plan.
right.
Yeah.
Assuming we've applied for a grant of 50 to 75,000 to do the urban forestry management plan and fill in any holes left in the inventory. And maybe say, well, we'd love to implement the short-term things, and if you could give us the money to do that as well, make it $100,000 grant. And I don't know, they're obviously not going to reject Bangor outright. They'd be like, well, we could give you this much. So
Some of those are all or nothing. I mean, you apply for what you think you can get, and if you've over applied, I don't know, have you guys experienced? You have the opportunity to dial it back?
When we apply for state grants,
Yeah, this would be through the state.
it is kind of, it depends on who else is applying and when it gets reviewed, comparing for what we do, apply for versus communities projects all around the state.
So is it all or nothing, or if we apply for 100 and they go, well, we'll give you 50?
Depends on the wishes of those that are reviewing it. I mean, I've been in review situations where we've been trying to fund as much as we could with what we had for money. And indeed offering to an organization, hey, we can't fund you for 25,000, but can you use 18? And let them respond back. But it really depends on the guidelines and parameters of the pot of money.
Yeah.
From the feds. I mean, the feds are ultimately the one that trickle this down through. And if they say, nope, can't do it that way, then you can't do it that way.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the grant funding source.
So I can try to get some information out of Jan.
Yeah.
I talked to her before the grants came out, and she said, you're gonna wanna keep an eye on this, cause this is gonna help you, so.
Most grants grant people I've talked to have always said, ask for more, and it's almost never all or nothing. But,
Good.
and we could break it up, especially in this case where we say, 50,000 is for the urban forestry management plan, 25 is to finish out the inventory, and another 25 is to do, the first short-term recommendations, and then they can dial it back.
So yeah, I'm scheduled, Ben and I are both scheduled to do the grant class that's required on the 28th. 28th.
And then when did they say when they decide? They're not due till like April 1st?
Yeah. I don't remember the decision date.
I would imagine they're usually soon enough that you can plant that year.
The application deadline is May 15th, so that's a ways off.
Yeah. Yeah,
And the existing project canopy grants require the 50% match, but the IRA grant specifically does not require match.
which means everybody's gonna target the IRA.
Yes.
Except for small towns that don't have grant writing departments.
Yeah.
Not that we have a grant writing
I
department.
was just gonna say we don't either, so.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, but I think that's what we ought to shoot for, is that IRA grant and, go from there.
Okay.
I'll talk with Jan and get some more details on the best way to approach it.
Yeah. And David, you had checked with,
I'm
Your
good
boss.
to work on this.
Okay.
If you need me. to.
so we can help with the grant writing.
Yeah, whatever you need. let me-
Awesome.
Coming up with nice, fun language. Although I'm sure, we've written enough of these things.
Yeah,
Where
the Project Canopy grant, I didn't think was that difficult, but I did 2 federal grants that I thought were just absolutely horrible, so.
Since this
I
is
don't know.
managed by Project Canopy, I assume it'll be a
Yeah.
more amenable
Yeah.
application. It's not gonna be.
It
Maybe
all
it's-
depends, like you said, the federal strings that are tied to it.
Typically, this kind of funding, it starts at the federal level and then it's up to the states, how they want to disperse it, and some states keep it all, but, I don't know, if Project Canopy derives from a federal funding source or not.
They do, they're from the USDA, but
It is
the
USDA.
IRA grant is different than their normal funding source, so the terms and conditions are a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I think we need to look at that, though, and unfortunately, it's not gonna be quick, you know what I mean, so. I'm just looking at my budget, I'm not gonna get enough money in my budget to pay for a urban forestry management plan, but is there preliminary work that we can? So you have somebody come in and put together an estimate of what the project might cost before you even get into the project, right? I'm just wondering, is there something we should be doing like that?
Yeah, I mean, typically, we come up with project estimate.
You do, okay.
And then, but on something like this wall, that's why we hired a consultant to give us some concepts and costs. So we won't put anything in this budget,
Yeah,
but that'll be. That's typically how we do.
The question had also come up about remaining ARPA funds. And I don't know who has the answer to that. Are the ARPA funds all gone or?
No,
Nobody recommends it.
no, they're not all gone.
Right.
They're not all gone.
Probably
But the
2 to 3
council
million left.
unanimously voted that their sole priority this year is housing. I think that's. You.
I would not anticipate those being available to use for this.
Okay,
But I would state that they have said that about housing, but they've been trickling money to other directions too, and we're talking about not a huge amount, and I'm just wondering, at one point, they were talking about maybe setting up a revolving fund. I don't know if they're gonna do that. So like, if we could get some money and then, but if we get a grant, with pay it back type of deal? I mean, just a thought, I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, no,
I'm
maybe.
just putting it out there.
and the purpose of the ARPA funds, I mean, this does, in my mind, it qualifies, because it came about during the pandemic. Like, the issues people were facing in the pandemic were like walkability and clean air and you know, being able to get out and recreate, and so it seems like this would,
Something to follow up on.
yeah,
You won't know until you ask.
would be great if we could ask.
Well, I asked early on and was told pretty much, yeah, that's not gonna happen, but
Okay,
an informal ask. But things changed after that too. I think they kind of opened up what they were doing. I mean, I got 2 sidewalk plows, so. You know what I mean, that things did evolve over time.
Well, and also that with the storms that we've had now, it's even more important to make certain that we take care of our trees and make certain that they're healthy and all that. So I think that takes priority to some extent.
Yeah.
right, if you could budget some enough that plus ARPA funds, and then also the hope that the IRA funds cover the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because if we just hold off until we have funding, it'll never.
No, that's not necessarily the case. I mean.
Might just take longer.
Yeah, yeah, I agree that putting your eggs all in one basket and then that basket doesn't have anything in it, then, yeah. So I'll work on it,
Okay.
on the budget and.
Right, because it'd be nice if we could put out the RFP this year. So that in theory work could start next year or even this fall. Okay, moving on to Tree USA, Tree USA.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that I did get our Tree City USA application in.
And I saw the signs. I've seen 2 of them, is it?
We put
We
some
have
of it.
2,
Yeah.
Well, but those are the ones that were up. You just put the new stickers on, right?
haven't even made it that far.
Okay,
But no.
so.
Well, I don't think we had signs to put the stickers on. right?
Nope, we do.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the second one came down in the storm because the tree fell
At least it was a
So
tree.
now we have one.
We've had those all along. I didn't.
Yes.
They kind of blend in with
Since
all
day
the other
one.
signs.
I know, but I would see that and like, it would stick out to me, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, no, they're really tiny now.
Yeah.
Now they're apparent because I found them, so.
Okay, so yeah, application's in before the deadline.
Did you
One
apply
one
for,
day before the deadline.
did you apply for the growth status?
No, I didn't.
I don't know if it doesn't do anything. does it?
It didn't, yeah, I don't know. I went back and looked at my application to see if there were any comments why I didn't qualify when I thought I did last time, and there was nothing there. It's
Yeah.
just my application, so, and no feedback.
Maybe once we get an urban forestry action.
Yeah, definitely, we'll be doing some growth.
We scheduled 2024 and the first quarter 2025 tree board meeting dates on the internet. I came up, I think I included this in the email, like they're in theory, the end of the quarter. I think they're the end of the quarter.
No, January, April, so January is the beginning of quarter, April, July, and December would be the end, wouldn't it? Was it? No, it wasn't.
It was
December.
January.
It was October, so
Right.
then January. So-
First month of the quarter and second Wednesday, 5:30?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a pattern to it.
Rhyme or reason, yeah, and they're all on the city calendar
Right.
now.
So if that works, I'm just gonna not check in with everybody and just keep scheduling them out, so. And if it's a problem, we can reschedule.
Great.
Okay, any other items?
Just two things. Well, one is a comment. I'm just concerned with the storms. That tree is a four-letter word now, so it'll be interesting to see if there's gonna be more pushback about people having trees in front of their homes. And secondly, I wonder if some of the trees, and not just that maybe fail over time, have something to do, and I've mentioned in the past about when we repave a sidewalk in a neighborhood, we don't take into account trees, we just go 5 feet. So if a tree is here and that's 5 feet, we're doing that, and that's happened to my house, so.
Yeah.
If we could just somehow look into that in future meetings about changing, I know we'll be doing some pavement work probably this year. And I would hate that to continue doing such a bad policy that we can't just make our way around it, either shorten the width. Just at that point, I mean, people could walk single file once in a while. So, but
I
that's.
don't know, every person I meet on the sidewalk refuses to go single file.
I never see
My wife
anybody
and I-
using the sidewalk.
Yeah,
We
most
just,
people
they
walk
walk
the
the road.
road. Yeah, there's that too.
Grove Street has that issue. People just walk in the middle of the road and I'm like, do I honk? Do I just wait for them to move? Or do I hit them? But
So we can look at some best practices, yeah, for,
Cause downtown especially, that's another spot where they're getting boxed in. And it's not just the pavers you see on top, but the asphalt they put the pavers on top of, they'll be even more aggressive with that. And then, so if you're trying to, dig down say you've got a garden bed downtown,
mhm.
the asphalt comes within like 2 feet of the tree. And I don't think they even used to pave them when they did the original, pavers back in like the 90s that you still see around town.
yeah,
Those I think are sitting on sand, so it's porous and water can get down with the trees. Now that we're paving, there's even less space for water infiltration for those
Yeah.
trees.
yeah.
I don't know what they're called, but I know UMaine at their new building, they just put in a bunch, I call them tree wells. But it's where they just plant the tree right in the. What is it called, David?
Are you thinking of gator bags or are you thinking of something?
Well, I'm thinking of like the metal grate that has a hole in it for the tree to come up out of.
Tree wells.
Tree well?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Is that ever anything that the city of Bangor would do?
We've got 4 of them.
Yeah.
And now 2 of them are broken.
Perfect.
I haven't reported them on Bill Bangor yet.
Right there at the base of Hammond Street.
Yeah, going up the hill. I assume it's the
Put in
new
more.
heavy plow trucks sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, we're causing damage all over the place with those.
They used to like use some rope and tie an orange cone that they'd stick out there so that plows would know to stay away.
Yeah.
Those aren't there this year, so they've been driving. Cause they've broken before and, they get taken out and they've been able to be patched and then put back, but
Yeah,
Right. I guess I'm just wondering if those are worth utilizing more in the future as we are utilizing cars more than we are trees,
right.
like in our streets. But I don't know. Cause I noticed like on Grove, there's a lot of them that a lot of the trees are uprooting the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what if the sidewalk was just the tree well?
yeah, but
I mean,
the sidewalk plowing work that we do, those sidewalk plows are too heavy for,
right, but is it a thing where only one side of the street gets plowed?
yep,
So what if
In
they
most
were
streets.
on the other side?
They're also really expensive.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, let's do all of them right now. It's
Right.
just-
Yeah.
I-
They're like
I'm just
3,000 bucks
wondering.
a pop, and that's probably low at this point.
Right,
They would make sense in a downtown area, except even there, they're subject to
yeah,
things. The other option we talked about is using granite curbing to build up. To at least protect the trees from snow plows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would give a little more soil. And then I've also seen relatively elaborate things where they have like soil cells that
Mhm.
go around the trees, and then your pavers sit on those instead of asphalting up. So you asphalt and leave like a big section, and then you put soil cells that will keep the roots from compacting. And then you put the pavers on those,
Mhm.
and then that would protect downtown trees a little bit more. A little more water penetration, so you're watering the trees more and it's got more root space.
right,
And that would probably be because those are plastic cells, that'd be less expensive than, other options, although I still think curbing is great, because
yeah.
it's hard to stop a plow.
yeah. Yeah,
It'd probably make it easier for the plowman too.
Yeah, just go till you hit something hard as opposed to, let's go till you hit something that might
Don't
be a
use your
tree.
brakes, that's what the curbs are for. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it might help against like accidental damage to your machines as well.
All things that
Yeah.
could probably go in the urban forestry management plan is like recommendations under like what our planting guidelines should be,
Yeah.
Right.
but also good things for Jefferson to think about when he's redesigning large portions of our downtown. Which you've done an excellent job with the, like the triangle in Merchants Plaza is a great example. It's like reused curbs cut up and put in, as opposed to like the brand new shiny ones that are around the trees. And I think it's made a difference.
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else?
Talked about EAB cloning. Citizen service requests. Oh, you've got a list of, yeah.
Just how busy we've been, in addition to storm cleanup. So I have work orders, so that's, Go Bangor. And then, preventive pruning. Prior to the December storm, been going around making lists for the crews to do preventive pruning. The month of October, we had 18, November 16, not very impressive. But prior to December 18th, we did 52 trees. So those are not work orders or anything. Those are just based on observations, cutting limbs, getting them out of traffic way, out of the sidewalks, preventive stuff like that. Work orders, month of November, this is Go Bangor stuff, 19, December 13, January is much higher because of the storm, 43. So.
We talked about tree being a dirty word. We are getting a ton of requests that I fear my tree is unsafe and that it's gonna fall on my house and hurt someone and, asking us to. They're not coming out and saying they want it removed. They want us to assess it for removal.
Right, and we've got,
So-
we've got the International Arborist Society's
Yeah.
Assessment form, and we can do preventative pruning.
Mhm.
And all head off before it gets to the point where it comes to the tree board and they want it actually taken down.
Yeah, no, I think those forms are working well and it gives us something to, when we have a conversation and if it gets to me. I request the form, even though he's already had that conversation, it gives me something to fall back on, so, yeah, no, I'm happy using those.
You were speaking earlier about public versus private trees that had fallen on the roadway. If it's a tree that falls from private property and it's blocking the roadway, is the landowner then responsible to reimburse the city for that? Or is that still?
It is not.
No.
We kind of maintain the infrastructure, just, it's kind of the same way as if your tree falls on the power lines. It's part of, a tax base or a fee base that you pay for utilities.
Although we will cut the tree at their property line.
Okay.
They own that, we're taking care of everything that's sitting on a sidewalk or
Okay.
a street, yeah.
We stop cleanup at the right of way, or wherever you're.
Right.
Now, if they cut it and roll it out to the Esplanade, now it's ours again and we'll clean it up.
Okay.
And FEMA was actually pretty good about that. They said, well, you can't claim anything that's from private property. I said, well, once they moved it to the street, we have a process where we allow people to bring their stuff to the street. Once they move to the street, it's now public property because we have that process. So they're like, oh yeah, you can claim that. So that's good. We're just getting ready to start that FEMA funding process.
Only a matter of time before FEMA becomes like a regular line budget on the city budget. Hard to budget for that though.
They say, and that, I don't know if you watched that briefing today, the claim briefing, but I'm dealing with 6 storms right now. Up there,
Didn't see it, no.
Okay. I think we're good. Any other thoughts? We've got 2 minutes. I'll get 15 seconds.
I
Thank
guess,
you.
I guess I have like a general question. So I'm a renter. There's a tree near my house that, might fall into our unit. Don't know if it will. It's pretty rotten. Should we just wait for it to fall or?
For private property, you,
Cause I'm a renter. It's not like I can just tell Maine Real Estate Management to cut it down for me. right?
yeah, so there's you've gotta talk to the property owner.
Yeah,
And whether it's your property you're living on, or even your neighbor's property, talk to the property owner and say, you know, this appears to be a hazard. And if they don't, the city will come in and do an assessment. And, I don't know that we have a whole lot of teeth in our ordinance that allows us to force them to take it down, but I think if it were an extreme hazard, and I'm not looking at the ordinance, but so don't quote me, but I think we can go in and take it down and give the property owner an invoice. Now, even if that's in the ordinance, that's just like snow clearing. You pour a bunch of snow in the street, we're gonna clean it up and give you an invoice. Well, we don't have time, and you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not as cut and dried as that, but
gotcha. Okay,
yeah, it's, that would be the kind of the steps to go through.
gotcha. All right, yeah, that was all I had. That was all.
Thanks, everybody. We
Yeah.
are adjourned.
Cool.
So.
Oh, yeah. Need meeting, right? No, and, so. What do I do?